The rain fell in slow, heavy drops that morning, painting the city in shades of gray. It was the kind of morning that made people keep their heads down, rushing past puddles and problems alike. But one man didn't rush. He stood quietly at the corner of Maple and 3rd Street, wearing a faded hoodie and old jeans. No one would have guessed that the man under that hood was Elijah Warren, billionaire, CEO and founder of one of the country's largest retail chains, TrueMart. Elijah wasn't there as a businessman that day. He was there as someone who wanted to remember where he came from. Every year, he went undercover to see how his employees were treated, not the executives, but the people who kept the stores running, the cashiers, the clerks, the cleaners, the real backbone of his company. That morning, he stepped into one of his oldest stores, the same one where he had once stocked shelves as a teenager. The automatic doors whooshed open, letting in a gust of cold air. He smiled faintly. It still smelled the same, faint coffee, floor cleaner, and cardboard boxes. But the smile faded quickly when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong in a place of work. Quiet sobs echoing down the hallway that led to the stockroom. Elijah followed the sound, his footsteps silent on the tiled floor. As he rounded the corner, he saw her, an older woman in a faded blue janitor's uniform, sitting on an upturned bucket. Her mop leaned against the wall beside her. Her hands covered her face and her shoulders shook with quiet tears. "Ma'am?" Elijah said gently. The woman flinched, quickly wiping her eyes. "I'm sorry, I didn't hear you come in. I'll get out of the way." "I'm not supposed to sit during my shift." He shook his head. "No, please. It's okay. I just wanted to make sure you're all right." She hesitated, then managed a small, tired smile. "I'm fine, sir. Just a little tired, that's all. Been a long week." But Elijah could tell she wasn't fine. Her eyes were red, her uniform torn at the sleeve, and her shoes, old, worn through at the soles, were soaked through. Something inside him twisted. "What's your name?" he asked. "Linda," she replied softly. "Linda Harris," Elijah nodded. "Nice to meet you, Linda. How long have you been working here?" "Almost 9 years now," she said, her voice trembling a bit. "It's not so bad most days, but lately things have been rough. They cut my hours last month, but I'm still trying to pay for my husband's medicine. He's got heart trouble, and we don't have insurance anymore since they changed our benefits plan." She paused, her eyes filling again. "I asked the manager if I could work extra shifts, but he said I wasn't fast enough. I clean all night sometimes just to keep this place running, but I guess that doesn't matter much." Elijah clenched his jaw. He knew there had been complaints about some store managers mistreating employees, but hearing it firsthand, seeing it, made his blood boil. "What about your supervisor?" he asked carefully. "Does he treat you well?" Linda hesitated, looking down. "He says I'm lucky to still have a job. Last week he told me if I don't smile more, he'll replace me with someone younger. But I try, sir. I really do. I just can't always smile when I'm worried about losing the house." She tried to laugh, but it came out broken. "My son, he's in the Army. I haven't seen him in 2 years. He sends what he can, but I tell him to keep it. He's already done enough for us." Elijah swallowed hard. He didn't want to blow his cover yet, but every word was cutting deep. He'd built this company to lift people up, not to let them break under the weight of unfairness. As the day went on, Elijah stayed in the store, pretending to be a part-time trainee. He watched quietly as Linda worked, wiping shelves, cleaning bathrooms, emptying trash cans, never once complaining, never once stopping. When a young cashier dropped a soda can and it exploded across the floor, Linda rushed over with a rag and said kindly, "Don't worry, honey. Happens to everyone." But the manager, a tall man named Rick, wasn't so kind. He barked orders, ignored customers, and talked down to his staff. At one point, Elijah heard him mutter under his breath, "That old woman's a waste of payroll." By the time the store closed that night, Elijah had seen enough. He followed Linda as she clocked out and walked toward the bus stop in the rain. She didn't have a car. She didn't even have an umbrella. Elijah walked up beside her, quietly holding out his own. "You shouldn't be out here in this weather," he said. She smiled softly. "I've had worse, sir. Life's been raining on me a long time. You just learn to keep walking." Those words stayed with him long after she boarded the bus. The next morning, Elijah returned to the store. This time not in a hoodie, but in a tailored suit. The same man who had mopped the floors yesterday now walked in surrounded by his executive team. Rick, the manager, turned pale the second he saw him. "Mr. Warren," he stammered. "Sir, I I didn't know you were coming. Elijah's expression was calm, but his voice carried quiet steel. That's the point, Rick. I wanted to see how my people are treated when no one's watching. He gestured toward the store. And I saw a lot. I saw hardworking employees doing their best. And I saw leadership that doesn't deserve the title. Rick tried to speak, but Elijah raised a hand. Save it. You had the chance to lead with respect. Instead, you led with fear. Then Elijah turned toward the break room door, where Linda stood frozen, holding her mop, eyes wide in disbelief. Linda Harris, he said, walking toward her. You've given 9 years of loyalty to this company. I saw your dedication yesterday with my own eyes. You are the heart of what TrueMart stands for. She blinked back tears, shaking her head. Sir, I didn't mean to complain. He smiled. You didn't complain. You spoke truth, and that's something I value more than anything. He turned to his assistant. I want Linda promoted to head of facility operations. Full benefits, double pay, and I want her husband's medical costs covered by our company plan. The room fell silent. Linda covered her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. I don't know what to say. Elijah placed a hand on her shoulder. Just promise me you'll keep walking through the rain. Because people like you remind me why this company exists. Rick was quietly escorted out that afternoon, but what lingered long after wasn't his shame. It was the way the employees began to stand a little taller, smile a little more, and help each other with renewed spirit. And Linda? She became a legend in the company, not because she was rich or powerful, but because she proved that kindness and hard work still mattered in a world that often forgot them. Elijah returned to his office that night and stood by the window, watching the city lights flicker below. He thought about the woman who had kept walking through the storm, even when no one noticed. Sometimes, he realized, the greatest leaders aren't the ones in suits or boardrooms. They're the ones with mops, cleaning the floors of the world, quietly holding everything together. He smiled and whispered to himself, never forget where you came from. And for those watching this story, remember, compassion costs nothing, but it can change everything. If this story touched your heart, make sure to give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who needs hope today. Subscribe for more stories to silent stories that remind us kindness still exists.